Welcome to the Soul Tribe Podcast. The Soul Tribe Podcast was created to help you navigate through the world of spirituality, wellness, and self-development in an easy, grounded, and relatable way. We break down everything from the Akashic Records, manifesting, spirituality, and so much more. We want to help expand your boundaries and bring the spiritual world to you in a fun and easy way. Get ready to be inspired with tips, tools, and easy to digest information. Let's do this. Welcome back to the Soul Tribe Podcast, everybody. Today I am by myself. Lucia is not joining me, but we do have a guest, Patricia Tabres, the astrologer, the humanistic astrologer. She's my astrologer. She's my mentor. I always talk about her on the podcast. You guys know her pretty well. And you guys actually requested for her to come back on. So we have her on. She's going to be talking about all the 2023 energy, astrological energy that's coming up. We might segue into a little of the things that we talked about in the prediction episode to see her take on things. And yeah, we're just excited to see what's coming up for the year, the energy. So Patricia, welcome. We're so happy to have you here. Lucia's here. I pretend Lucia's here. I'm pretending.
Okay, she's here in spirit and in some sort of presence. So I'm sure she is nonetheless, even though she's not in person. So thank you, Lorena, for the introduction. As usual, I am myself so thrilled to be back with you and your audience. And yeah, I have to also thank you because you always refer people to me. So this is, a two-way journey.
Yeah.
So I'm so thankful for all this and ready, yes, to talk about 2023, new challenges. I mean, the sky is always presenting us with challenges, and that is part of the spirit of evolution. And so, for better or worse, easier or more difficult, it's always good to be ready for what is coming ahead. So, if you want me to start,
I guess in general, talk about or however you want to start, but definitely, these last few years have been difficult. A lot of people have felt the weight. We had eclipse season. I know there's a lot around that for me personally, and for a lot of people that came to do readings with me. However you want to start, but I guess if we can go into like a general, what do you see for 2023 energetically?
Perfect. Well, yes, the last, say, 3 years have been obviously very, very challenging, and at the same time, a period of great changes that we were not prepared for. So a lot of uncertainty and fear, and because, of course, since 2019, say, beginning of 2020, we spoke a lot about this Capricorn energy being taken over by Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter together, bringing like the fall of many structures and many kind of known institutions or principles held by organizations, politics, the economy. So Capricorn, which stands for all these structures that are built upon over time, and Capricorn always says things take time to be built and become solid and firm, but also it takes a lot of time for the process of deconstruction. So, and that is what Pluto announced actually it started in 2008, very long process, as you can see. When changes are big, especially at the level of humanity, it also takes a long, long time to start or get started and then unravel and then finish. So many of the things we have been talking about for the last 2-3 years and things that I'm going to talk about this new narrative in the sky will take also a long, long time, because none of these are overnight processes. Because overnight processes, we can find them in the sky through the moon cycles, through the solar changes, through Mercury going direct or going retrograde, same with Venus and Mars. So this is like our daily agenda. But when it comes to Saturn and Pluto and Uranus and Neptune, which are the actual protagonists this coming year and the years ahead. So we have to start thinking that we are kind of concluding at one level a long process of deconstruction, things falling apart at a global world level and personal level as well. I'm sure that many of you, and I include myself, have been going through dramatic, in the sense of, like a movie, dramatic changes that pushed us into finally admitting or accepting that there are certain structures that we thought were solid and firm and for good and for always kind of proved to be feeble enough or weak enough not to pass the test of endurance, let's say. Because why? Many things that we thought were for sure and solid were not in line with who we actually want to be or where we want to be or what we want to do. So many things that were part of our personal structure also fell apart. But is that really that bad? Well, maybe psychologically, emotionally, it was terrible. But, the universe always knows, and the cosmos is obviously wiser than we are and we think we are. So many of these collapses were forced so that we once and for all understand that if our dreams, if our projects, if our kind of plans for life or life direction was not actually correct, then these adjustments that the cosmos are making finally will eventually show that even with those dramatic changes, probably now we are on course. So this is what is coming, actually. For those of us who have made important decisions, accepting that there are certain things we cannot hold on to any longer and that we need to move forward, and obviously take the leap with the leap of faith, we can say. And this is the new narrative, actually, so that we start talking a little bit about what period we are entering into, because what I have spoken about has a lot more to do with what I was saying, Capricorn, ending a cycle of many, many years where it's not just even from 2008, it's history itself and everything that was built during the last hundreds and hundreds of years. The universe said, you're a different human being. Technology is different. Relationships are different. Globalization is here to somehow or rather bring new messages. So old styles are gone or should be gone, right? And why do I talk about this change of narrative and this leap and these kind of big and changes that now are going to take over? That is the last actually 3 or 2 years and a half, 3 years have been more about, as I said, collapsing, deconstructing, bringing to an end, seeing that, okay, things that take place to grow and are built over a long period of time, as everything in life, also have an end or an ending. And we have to accept the ending, especially when there's no more vitality or kind of newness in what we have built. So now let's talk a little bit about Aquarius and its ruler Uranus, have now inviting us to go for the new, which is what we feared so much as from the pandemic, let's say, just to bring a closer time reference. So there was a lot of new, the new normal, the new era, the new paradigm, the new model, call it what you like. Okay, yes, everything is new. Brace yourself for the new. But what is the new? The new is the future. So where is the present? And that is what is probably 2023 is going to be a little bit like difficult to go through. What is the present if everything that comes to our life has a lot more to do with what is like a preview of the future? And this is what Aquarius brings. Like with Pluto ingressing Aquarius. You tell me, Lorena, if it's I'm being clear or I'm mixing up things. I'm trying to give a sort of narrative, and then you can ask me, or then I can go back and be clearer about certain things. But especially with the ingress of Pluto in Aquarius that is taking place, I have my notes here. It starts in March, around the 22nd, 23rd. But again, as with any slow planet like Pluto, it's not about one day or a date. It's about like a phase, a process that starts around that time. And you know how long Pluto will be in Aquarius? For 20 years.
Oh my gosh.
So imagine this is the seed of
Yes.
Pluto in Aquarius. It's really the birth, the beginning, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as with any other beginning or birth, we are kind of blinded, or we don't know exactly what is going to come out of this seed or this birth, right? So this ingress of Pluto in Aquarius starting around end of March will kind of give us a preview up until mid-June, because then Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn up until the end of 2023, and will finally go into Aquarius in 2024 to stay there for 20 years. So, 2023, like the preview of what Pluto will bring in terms of, Pluto, each planet signifies something in particular, and we can kind of assign each planet a word or two or three words that give us a kind of synthesis of what the energy of that planet means. And Pluto means power, it means big transformations, and it means kind of being ready for using the most powerful energy to cause or produce big transformations. But I mean, if I had to choose one word, it would be like power, empowerment. And in Aquarius is precisely all about the new era where globalization starts being the real stuff, because we have been playing a little bit with globalization. Now we are all connected. Now what happens in Argentina, which is where I live, kind of has its influence in, the World Cup. We are the champions. We are so
Congratulations.
Happy. Thank you. So, I mean, are we in Argentina celebrating? No, it's like I know of many people celebrating more than the fact that the football players won the cup. It's like I think they were a good example of what the joint effort with good values and good principles can give us a result. And I'm not saying this because they are Argentine players, but because, what I kind of think about this group, I think the World Cup in general, I'm not too much a fan of football, but I think that this World Cup showed, like, with joint effort, with persistence, hard work, dedication, and good manners and good values, we as a team or as part of a team, we can achieve a lot. And I think Pluto in Aquarius is mostly about that. The power of the collective, because that is what Aquarius is. That's why there are so many collectives raising their voice. The collective of ecologists, of feminists, of people struggling for different rights. So the collective is going to gain a lot of power thanks to this Pluto in Aquarius. That is one of the big things we're going to start witnessing. But now the collective will probably start winning over the hierarchy of the patriarchal, I cannot pronounce the word very well.
Patriarchy, I never know how to say that.
Exactly. Of the the one head power, right? Like typical of most governments or most institutions. There's always like a big name, like, again, the monarchy. I don't have anything against the monarchy, but that is a good example. The monarchy has been in power for how many years? Since humanity can remember social organizations. So this is what is coming to an end, especially thanks to this Capricorn force that I explained in the beginning. So now the power goes into the hands of social organizations, the collective. It's more horizontal rather than vertical. That is one of the big things. But of course, again, because Pluto is the superpower of some, we are going to witness nonetheless that there will be some groups and collectives that will try to gain power over others. And one of the risks, if I can use that word, is that because Aquarius has a lot to do with the media, with the web, with internet, the power of communication, especially in the web, we have already started witnessing that there were some big groups trying to gain control over this world of communication, right? Like, all the big names that we can think of that wanted to control the media or different social medias. We have been witnessing these struggles. So I think this will be enforced. And because Pluto will go back to Capricorn by June, then second half of the year, we're going to witness probably again the need of bringing certain things out to light so that we know what is hidden in below all this, right? Or underground and covered and secret manipulation, because that is what Pluto in Capricorn does. It brings out to the surface everything that was hidden and kept secret and meant manipulation but not disclosed or seen. Is this clear?
That makes sense.
Lorena?
Yeah. We did like a prediction episode where we talked. I mean, we've kept feeling the energy the last few years. Really, it's been about truths. information coming out for a lot of different reasons. I think the collective needed that information to wake other people up. You know, I think it's interesting. What I want to understand deeper, though, you were talking a little bit about this energy of like the future and projecting into the future, or what we see for the future. Not that this is about predictive energy, but I'm feeling more like, what energy can we be in today to end the year, to start the year with, maybe? Because this is going to obviously, we're recording this on the 19th of December, but this will be published in January. What energy can we, what mindset, what things can we look to heal, or I don't know, things that we need to look at to help us show up in 2023 with like the right energy, with, you know?
Okay, one of the, also another big change that will take place in 2023. One is this Pluto entering Aquarius and staying there for 20 years, as I said. So there's a lot new vision of where power is and what transformations will take place. So even just to close this thing, and then I go back to what you asked, because also in 2020, we started a new era where the air is the one that, we spoke about this previously, the air starts becoming the element that will prevail over the earth that was the previous period of 200 years, where it was more about having money, territory, oil, things that were material resources was all that mattered. With Pluto in Aquarius, the power goes into the hands of the air. So there will also be a lot of spatial kind of interest in the space, like conquering the space. So that's why we have already started reading about and learning that there are some people who want to go to the moon, to Mars, and even all the spatial exploration, and probably the revelation that there is life somewhere.
We talked, Lucia went into that a little bit in the episode. That's so funny. Oh my gosh. She felt that calling.
Yeah, that's Pluto in Aquarius will reveal that whatever is in space is also powerful, and there will probably be revelations about that to show us human beings how small we are in view of the universe, right? But another change, and I think I will answer your question with this. Another big change will be with Saturn entering Pisces in March also. March, you asked me about more or less times of the year when we will kind of be, there will be interesting or important things happening. March is a very special time, and I will give you a lot of information about this. One is the ingress of Pluto in Aquarius, but then Saturn also, beginning of March, is entering Pisces after 29 years of being, the last time Saturn was in Pisces was 30 years ago. And Saturn stays in the same sign for 2.5 years. So Pluto is staying for 20 years in Aquarius, but Saturn is going to stay in Pisces for 2.5 years. That's a long period of time also. And Saturn, which is the builder, the one that says, be realistic and choose with maturity, responsibility, a clear sense of reality, build your reality, build your life, right? So Saturn is the builder. And Saturn has been helping us somehow or other build something after the big Pluto destruction in 2020. So why is then Saturn an ally for us now? Because Saturn is now, last months of the year up until March, still in Aquarius, very strong, is saying, prepare yourself for the changes, because Saturn is in Aquarius. So Saturn says, I know Aquarius is going to be an energy that is going to challenge you with changes. We didn't talk about this, but it was one of your questions. There will be probably worldwide big revolutions, different kinds, right? It's coming from the economy that is already revolutionized, but in terms of money matters and the power of money and whose hands it's in, it has changed hands already, and it will continue changing hands, because the traditional owners of of money,
of wealth,
are no longer powerful. We learned that also the importance and the force of digital money, of the bitcoins, that obviously they are still a failure because the world was not prepared for this new vision in terms of money being intangible in some way or another. So I lost track. Yeah, Saturn. So Saturn is telling us Aquarius will bring many, many changes to human beings that will surprise us, because Aquarius is also about surprises, kind of interrupting processes to bring some sort of new revelations, new movements that are going to be really collective. Also, all these climatic changes that we have been also more aware of, because they have been taking place since forever, but we became more aware that because of the misuse of natural resources, nature is responding, rebelling against us, right? So with Aquarius, this will become more noticeable in terms of climate changes. 2023 can be a year of very worrying episodes coming from nature, kind of tsunamis or, earthquakes. And there's a lot of these, I don't know exactly
natural
what word.
disasters.
I cannot find a word. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In the hands of, it's more about things that move electrically or out of rhythm or unexpectedly. And because Saturn will go into Pisces, there can also be a lot of water episodes that can become dangerous, right? Like,
Wow.
floods or episodes at sea. There's, it's the air and the sea being revolutionized, right?
Yep.
So Saturn says, if we know that big changes are coming, it's time for you to get ready for this. And so Saturn in Pisces, first of all, because this episode is coming out in January, as you said. Now, December, January, February, these are the months that we have to take advantage of to strategize or plan what we want to do in 2023. And it's even important to bear in mind that acting on these plans will not be easy up until the end of March. But it is ideal, these months are ideal for projects, plans, strategies that we can design. Like, take out your notebook and write out your plan for the year. Excellent. December, January, and February. March, there will be kind of, as I said, with Saturn ingressing Pisces, Pluto entering Aquarius, and Mars, that has been retrograde for 6-7 months, unusual for Mars. It usually stays, say, 6 weeks or 8 weeks, has been in the shadow zone from September to October, retrograde from October to January, and again post-retrograde shadow from January to mid-March. So take this into account, because you will read or hear that, oh, Mars is already direct in January, but it'll be kind of not ready to show its will, its strength, and action power until mid-March. And that is when I say, okay, plan your year now and start thinking of putting things into action as from March onwards, but wait a little bit. The turmoils of the last days in March and beginning of April. Because then April, May, we have new eclipse season starting.
Oh gosh.
That is in April, on April the 20th, we have the first eclipse, which will continue being kind of a protagonist for Taurus and Scorpio, which is where eclipses worked harder for us, Lorena, both of us.
Yeah, we both feel it.
And, it's not just for Taurus and Scorpio, because your audience is broad, so there will be others saying, but I felt this too. Well, we all do, we all feel it, but especially Taurus, Scorpio, and Leo, Aquarius. These are the signs that probably were more shaken into, where am I? What am I supposed to do? And also, as with eclipses, blinded and not too clear of how, when, where, what. Mm-hmm. So, but still, changes took place, big ones, because Scorpio, with a south node in Scorpio, said, release everything that emotionally you have held on to but needed cleansing, purging. And Taurus in the north node saying, go for the new, and something that has a lot more to do with your values, with your connection with your body, with your sense of pleasure and enjoyment and new resources. That is the north node in Taurus. So again, in April, for those of us that were asked during the last 19 months to work around these things, will give its last, what can you call it, Lorena? Give me a nice
push.
Yeah. Very good. A nice push to just do it. Right? Yeah. And then eclipses, as from May the 5th, then October the 14th, and October the 28th, change their narrative too. Remember, I said a year where the narrative changes, because there are many movements that are transpersonal movements that will affect humanity as a whole, and with a sense of what is coming. So there can be also a lot of anguish or anxiety or uncertainty or fears that probably many of us will have to deal with. But that is the energy that is in the sky. Yep. There's a lot of, about Pisces and Aquarius. I mean, these are signs that say big changes are coming, because things also come to an end and dissolve and suggest a new beginning, right? So the change of narrative with the nodes is that and I would say this in general for all of us, but especially Aries, Libra, Cancer, and Capricorn. These are the 4 signs that will feel the effect, especially of the eclipses. With the North Node in Aries, the South Node in Libra, it'll be for all of us a question of working around relationships so that we can see our strength. It's like if you have been in a relationship or part of a partnership where you thought that it was okay because I needed this complementation, now many of those partnerships, life partners, business partners, will start moving into the realm of uncertainty, revision, reevaluation, because Aries will say, and what about your wish? What about your power? What about your force to start things because you feel like a warrior, like an Amazon? So those will be the questions also for 2023, and it will continue up until first months in 2024. My place in relationships. It doesn't mean that we're going to end relationships or that we're not going to be in a relationship. No, the thing is, okay, in a relationship, what is my place? And am I losing my power to decide, to start things, or to go for my dreams? This is what the North Node in Aries says, no way. The North Node in Taurus has shown you how important it is to love yourself, for self-worth. That is what the North Node in Taurus has been working a lot around, your self-worth, how important your sense of enjoyment and pleasure, your connection with the body, loving your beauty as it is. Now Aries says, okay, now go out into the world and fight your battles by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I was going to ask, so do you feel like there's a theme with our own relationship to self and also the relationship with others being like a thing for a lot of people in the coming year?
Exactly, especially apart from with Aquarius, it's also about my place in the collective, right?
Okay.
Because we have to consider also opposites. Aquarius, the opposite, and the complementary energy is Leo.
Mm-hmm.
So this Leo Aquarius energy will be, okay, being part of a team, being part of a group whose ideologies I share in, will be very important. So things will happen and we will feel the importance, the power of being part of that collective. But Leo will always remind us that our creativity, our sense of I am, and I want to show the world who I am, is also very important. So it's, they have to complement each other. And at the same time, the nodes with Libra is my relationship with someone else who I think is important in my life because I feel there's good complementation. There's some sort of sense of balance. So this will continue being a subject, but Aries says now, like with Leo, it's important to find your spirit of I go for what I want. I'm going to fight my battles alone or with somebody else. That is not important. What is important is who I am and the importance also of your presence in the collective, making a difference.
Oh my gosh,
marking
yes, I love
the
that.
difference. Yeah.
Yeah, we talk a lot about communities and collectives, and that if you can't or don't feel that you found your people or your soul tribe or whatever, that you create it yourself. You attract those people because it's important that we all connect.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. And you mentioned the word community. I hadn't mentioned that before. I love that because it's like, of course, we are part of the community, which is the human race. But within this big collective, we need to find our group with whom we share the same language, the same ideals, the same dreams, the same purposes that we can fight for. But don't leave aside your light, your shine. That is Leo.
Yeah, I like
you are
that.
part of a collective that you share with, but you are who you are, and you are definitely an important piece in that community or that big machinery. And that is what Leo and Aries will ask for with the fire coming from these signs.
It's like bringing your light to those people to help them, to bring awareness, like you said, to do your work. But yeah, I want to go back because I don't know if you want to say anything else about the year, because I know we got to quite deep into 2023, but you mentioned a little bit about the finances, the economy, maybe a recession. I keep hearing that word everywhere, and we got some information on that. Where do you see that? Because I think people are talking about real estate, they're talking about a recession. Where do you see the financial situation, or how do you think that could be in 2023?
I think it's going to be, especially 2023, a year of economic clashes. And yeah, I agree. Because why? Uranus has been working in Taurus, all about the everything that is connected with money, finances, economy, and of course, as from the pandemic, everyone, every country, every government has had to fight hard to rethink their own resources, because that is what Uranus has also taught us, especially during the pandemic. If you lost your job, if you lost your income, you had to creatively think of other ways to make money and to receive your pay or something. And as to bigger bodies like companies or institutions or governments, it's also about reconsidering the way that they have dealt with money. Again, the privileged versus the unprivileged or underprivileged. Yeah. And Aquarius is all about the more horizontal thing. It's more about social welfare. So the loss of big powers that had the money in their hands, that is again continues kind of collapsing, because governments also have to think more in terms of social welfare, the welfare of all, right? And why do I think this year will be especially difficult? Because Uranus, it rules Aquarius, and Pluto is going into Aquarius. And Pluto, remember I said, the destructor, the one that destroys, that kind of brings death so that something new can be created. So Uranus in Taurus, Pluto in Aquarius, together they will bring, again, like tsunamis in the economy world, right? And that is because slowly but surely, those who had the power, the economic power in their hands, have to start changing their mindset to share the wealth equally. It's like for better distribution. Will this happen soon? No. Slow process where there's a lot to learn, there's a lot to lose for a new vision. And so this is why probably this will be kind of difficult, but at the same time, to give kind of some sort of ray of hope, this transformation also is at probably a more personal level, remind us that there are different ways and creative ways of assuring yourself that your economy. That is, if you think laterally, if you think outside the box, if you realize, probably you did during this period of recession, that, well, I can then do other things, or I can use this tool that I had not used and something I learned to do. This is the time to turn to these new tools for assuring yourself a better economy, personal economy.
Yeah, and stepping into your power through that too, because you're stepping into something that you're there to do, to help people maybe, and that obviously will bring you abundance in some way.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
wow.
And I would like to add something that I started talking about, but it is connected with this. Saturn in Pisces. It's not an easy combination for Saturn to be in Pisces, but let's talk about the positive things. Saturn in Pisces will bring a lot of structure and a lot of presence, solid presence to the world, the Pisces world of magic, complementary therapies, family constellations, the use of oracles, the use of flower essences. That is, Saturn in Pisces says, okay, this Pisces world, which is about resonance, vibration, empathy, compassion, service, the Pisces stuff is one that we cannot probably touch with our hands, but it's even stronger and bigger. So Saturn says, let's construct this solidly, firmly, and people will start respecting it. This is a good thing about Saturn in Pisces, especially for people in this world, right? Who are interested in matters of the soul, right? So it's a nice also suggestion. You asked me for what can people do. Start giving shape and form to your dreams, but don't lose perspective of reality, Saturn says. I will help you build your dreams, but don't build a dream castle, sand castle near the water, because that I'll make sure it vanishes with the
tide,
the flow with the tide, right? The ebb and flow of the tide. So if you want to build something which is part of your dreams, do it with Saturnal input. What material will I use? What is reasonable in this moment in my life? What is real and I can really turn to give something a nice structure? Saturn will help us build upon our ideals, our dreams, as long as we do not lose a sense of reality and perspective.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. What about health, well-being? Because obviously we've been in years with the pandemic, and now you hear comments about what's going on. There's a lot of conspiracy stuff out there. Where do you feel the energy going in that sense?
Okay. I think that Pluto in Aquarius plus Saturn in Pisces will continue a little bit with these questions of viruses and our defense mechanism being challenged, because Pluto is about toxicity, and Pisces is about also viral kind of invasion, say, and the possibility for our defense mechanism to be kind of low. Especially now with Mars squaring Neptune as it did when the pandemic started. Again.
Okay, yeah, Lou was
Mars
mentioning
is
that she
square.
heard something. I was like, oh no.
Yeah. So it's no wonder there's this
Like,
of COVID and other kinds that
yeah.
they're talking about. I think I was expecting this in some way or another. Then again, in August, to me, July, August, because Mars will be opposite Neptune. So it's again, but I guess that in August or July, August, September, whatever can come up, it's with a different sense of knowledge, because Mars and Neptune will be face to face. So Mars says, I am attacking you again. And Neptune says, okay, now I know. So I need to get ready for that battle, right? So probably we by that time have learned the do's and don'ts, right? But these conspiracies you were mentioning and everything, that is also Saturn in Pisces, because there are many things that are hushed and under the water and confusing and blurry. So there are many things coming from certain authorities that will not be probably clearly explained or communicated. And Pluto in Aquarius, again, unfortunately, it's also the power of some that manipulate the collective. So that can happen. But Pluto, that has been in Capricorn for so long and will go back from as I was saying, June up until the end, will disclose these lies.
Okay.
Everything that is mafia, everything that is the power of some trying to
Corruption
will come out to light. So it's not the same as what has been going on for the last 3 years. Actually, I would like also to include this, I don't know if we are finishing, but to end in a positive light. Even though there are these changes that I mentioned that are important because it's transpersonal energy and there's a change of narrative in the sky, there aren't so many tense aspects between planets as there have been in the last 3 years, like Saturn squaring Uranus, or Saturn conjoining Pluto, or Saturn and Jupiter starting like a new cycle in a very shocking manner. We have been having many conjunctions, many squares, many oppositions, which are tense aspects that speak about the struggle between planets, between the gods. There aren't so many of these, and in fact there are some beautiful trines forming also, which is nice, even between Pluto and Aquarius and Uranus. Not yet, but there's more of a going into the trine than going into the square. So in astrological terms, this means hope, a different different. I mean, there's light at the end of the tunnel. There's a what for that is for the better. We're going to start feeling that as well, even though for some there might be a little bit more of anxiety or fear. And one thing about health, two things. Probably Saturn in Pisces will also bring some sort of formal handling of all the psychological upsets that people have been having for the last years. I mean, people with depression, with panic attacks, with anxiety. I can't find the word.
Panic attacks,
With
yeah.
attacks, etc. Saturn will now become aware of the importance of doing something for these ailments. So Saturn in
That's a
Pisces
whole
will work
thing.
hard for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have been struggling, and that needs to come more to light, what people are going through emotionally and mentally, because my gosh, I mean, I hear numbers and statistics of people even taking their life.
Absolutely.
And it's bad. It's really heartbreaking.
Bad. Yeah, absolutely. So Saturn in Pisces will say, okay, time to work hard with responsibility and well for all these people. But one thing that, again, not because I'm announcing what you're going to fall ill with, but pay special attention, because Saturn in Pisces has a lot to do, Pisces with your feet, and Saturn with the bones. So things connected with your feet, and Aquarius is the ankles, Pluto in Aquarius. So the feet, the ankles, I mean, these are kind of Achilles heels, literally. So people may start with a tendency, those who are prone to having some sort of ailments in that area can obviously suffer a little more. So preventive medicine, whatever is done to prevent these. And also Saturn in Pisces can also mean that for those whose defense system is low, needs reinforcing. So it's good for all of us, I mean, check your defense mechanisms and your supplements, right? I mean, Saturn in Pisces will say you need supplements to strengthen your body, to strengthen
your immune system.
Your immune. That's the word. I was saying defense.
Yeah.
Immune system. That is it. Yeah. So.
Interesting. Very interesting. Wow. Overall, I feel like it's positive. It's pushing us to take the action with intention, empowerment, and the fact that you just said that there aren't so many like harsh, what do you call it? Aspects. I think that's great, because it's giving us a little bit of time to breathe, of being able to focus instead of feeling constantly triggered and pulled in every direction. Do you, just to close off, are there certain sun rising signs that you feel have an interesting, like a positive year, or like an easier year?
Yeah. I think that, again, for the same signs I mentioned, the fixed signs, Taurus and Scorpio, Leo and Aquarius, Jupiter is entering Taurus in May. And this is very promising, because Jupiter is the benefactor, the one that brings abundance, that shows the way, the sense of direction. So I think that as a sort of gift or kind of reward, I think Jupiter is going to bring, for these signs especially, a lot of relief and abundance, and a sense of, okay, if I did my job, which is what was supposed to be done, reward comes. Because Jupiter, if you haven't done your work, then Jupiter expands what is already a problem. You see? So remember, cleanse, purge, let go of, and bring the new. Okay, Jupiter says, now you can move forward. And then also Venus in Leo, did I mention Leo as a fixed sign, or did I say it right?
No, I don't remember.
No, okay, I said again, Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius. These are the fixed signs.
Yeah.
And there will be a Venus star point in Leo in July, bringing very nice energy for the same signs, which is very good. Saturn in Pisces, and Saturn then will somehow rather work for Pisces and Virgo and Gemini, Sagittarius, bringing some dues and restrictions and limits to become aware that these signs in whatever field that needs responsibility, work, and a strong sense of reality, Saturn will work especially with these signs. But when Saturn comes, the way we perceive this work is as if a judge was coming and demanding that you do it, or else you're going to be punished. But it's like, but at the same time, what it will bring is to these signs a solid and firm base for the changes that are coming. But Saturn many times makes us feel as though we had a burden on our back, or like walls in front of us, and we cannot move forward. And Saturn says it needs time, it needs hard work, responsibility, and I will help you build. Right? So
Amazing.
There is a big challenge there, but for the better. And those whose Saturn in their chart is in Pisces, that is people around 29, 30 years old, they're having their Saturn return this year, which is, okay, grow up, kid. You're an adult.
Is that usually the energy with the Saturn return? Like
Yeah.
a change of that to that energy?
Yeah, usually the first Saturn return, then the second one at 60, 59, 60, which is another story. But for those around 29, 30 is you're not a kid anymore. So if you have been doing your work well in the last 7 years, this Saturn return is a reward for getting to the top, to your objectives. It's like reaching the top of the mountain, and you can be recognized, you can be rewarded, but if you have been a little bit on the lazy side, time to grow up and do things as an adult, right?
Okay.
That is what this return means. So people whose Saturn is in the sign of Pisces, okay, get ready for this. And if you've been doing things well, you're going to see rewards coming too. And if you haven't, don't delay things.
Yeah, going. Do the work. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's time.
Yeah.
Saturn returns not an easy time. I've been through that. I felt like I had like a midlife crisis. It was so hard.
Well, yeah, it does come many times with a crisis, which is a crisis for you to realize that you cannot waste your time anymore.
That's exactly how I felt. I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Where am I going? Nothing I wanted to do is happening. It literally felt like everything was crumbling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because Saturn is, Saturn is like the big judge and the big father imposing things on you, but also it is the wisdom that comes with age and realization of processes. That is also Saturn, right? So, but yeah, it is a crisis of opportunities as usual for taking hold of the reins of your life so that you can start a different journey.
It's like steering the ship in the direction you want to go.
Steering the ship. Exactly.
Yeah.
And by
It's an
the way,
important time.
Jupiter, which is, you mentioned the stern of the ship, and Jupiter is like a sort of stern that guides you along with a sense of trust and confidence, which is very nice. It has just entered Aries and will stay in Aries up until March. So, up until May. In May, it changes into Taurus. So, Jupiter in Aries, it's also about, okay, go and fight your battles with trust and confidence and go for it, right? Even though, just between brackets, Mercury retrograde, Mars retrograde, now, it's like more than giving Jupiter the keys to the car so that it just, drives off. It's like plan your strategies, think about it so that Jupiter in March can just go for it and non-stoppable.
Yeah, I love it.
Unstoppable.
Unstoppable, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of general message of just like empowering yourself, doing the work, putting your head down, the collective.
Yeah.
Relying on ourselves to do things, right? Yeah. While also having that community, that group with us and guiding them and helping them.
Yeah.
I love it.
And also, in line with the word service, Pisces, Virgo, there's a lot there also. Like if you are part of the collective, if you are interested in being of service to the collective, Virgo says, organize yourself, do your job, do your rituals, take care of your habits, your daily habits, what you eat, your physical training, your respecting your sleep hours. That is also, what Saturn in Pisces says. Wow. Organize your routines, your rituals, so that you can be of service to others and to yourself. Mm-hmm. Because that's also a key word this year, service.
I love that. Love that. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's a message for me. In general.
I hope many others also receive some message for another.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to say anything else before we wrap up? I'm sure we can do another episode later on with other things that come up or with eclipse season, maybe even.
Yeah, maybe that would be nice. In May, for example, end of April, beginning of May, we can talk about eclipses. But I think that the last message I can give is, we are entering definitely a new era. And this is like the big challenge for all of us, but it's part of the great possibility of evolving. In one way or another, we are pushed to evolve. And evolving this year, in particular 2023, this coming year, is be aware of how small you are in comparison with the universe, but how big you can be if you understand that you are part of a community, of a collective, and if you resonate with being part of this wonderful world that we live in, and if we as a collective understand that we need to treat the world, the earth, and ourselves and the ones around us in a more loving way, there's a lot coming for better, right? Mm. And it's going to be very, very rewarding, and it has to do more with that, right? The realization of how tiny we are, but how big we are on this planet in this reality.
The impact that we can have.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. As we learned with the virus in China, thinking it was a remote, unreachable place, and then it reached all of us. It's like turn that into a positive thing. if we raise vibration, if we resonate with the cosmos, we are spreading this energy all around.
And helping the collective. Yep.
Exactly.
Wow, yeah. I love that. Seems like very I don't feel like it's going to be an easy year, but I do feel like it's a more positive energy than the years that we have experienced.
Yeah, it's like we're going to understand that there was a what for, and probably.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
Exactly.
Totally. I love it. Oh, thank you.
For your work, Lorena, your Akashic readings, your flower essences, your family constellations, and everything else, great year with Saturn in Pisces. Embrace it.
Yeah, I feel so connected to my work. I feel more connected every day. And committing to it, like I'm studying, I'm doing, I'm taking the action, like you were saying, which it's not easy because one's always busy. There's better things to do. There's like fun things to do, right? But knowing that it's for a greater good, it's not about just me, right?
Absolutely.
And putting that work in is important right now because I will probably see people will benefit from it next year. So
100%.
Not that they're not benefiting now. It's just I'll be more prepared next year to take action.
Yeah, and people also will be more prepared and more open to receive it with Saturn and Pisces, knowing that it's all for good.
Yeah. This is just, I guess, to encourage each and every one of you to listening that take that leap of faith. Like you use that at the beginning, right? Take that leap of faith and whatever you feel like you're here to do, take the action, create those habits, those routines that you can make it happen for next year or for now. Like, who knows? Maybe you've been on that path for a while. It's time, right? Don't hold yourself back anymore. Empower yourself. Find the people that can help support you and push you in that direction too, right? Your community, that support system. That's how it works, right?
It does, right? Big message. That one is great for rounding it all up.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you so much for explaining all of this because I obviously dropped out. I'm not doing astrology anymore.
But you will, and you have, there's a language we share. And I hope I haven't been too technical. I mean, it's difficult at times not to fall into some technical
I think it's
terms,
relatable.
Trying to translate them. Yeah.
No, it's totally relatable. You explain it in a really good way. And I think people want to learn some of this language. So it's good that you're using those terms so they can get familiar with it too. Sure. I'll make sure I put all of your links to your Instagram, your Facebook, your email, and anything else that comes up from now.
Yeah. I'm launching my webpage after Mercury, when Mercury goes direct in February. So
perfect. So
I also will share the webpage with you.
Yeah, once you have that webpage, just send it to me and I'll share it also on the Soul Tribe podcast because this will be coming out in January. Right. We can always add in the link later anyway for people that listen later on. But yeah, if you guys want to get in touch with Patricia or get, some kind of natal chart reading, she does different kinds of readings. I get like is it my solar return? What is it? What's it called again?
Yeah.
My solar return every year. It's like a gift. Yeah. And then get natal chart. I always say this, to me, astrology has, especially humanistic astrology, and why I wanted to study it is because I totally felt I understood myself at a deeper level. I was able to kind of accept things a little bit more. It was just that extra kind of layer in my own personal kind of development. And I think it's empowering to understand your chart if you can. So that's my recommendation. That could probably help some of you that are listening and don't understand a lot about astrology. But Patricia is my astrologer, so I will continue to recommend her.
Thank you so much.
So we're going to sign off here. We hope you have a good start or having a good start to your year. And we'll be back soon with another episode. And we love you. Take care and see you next week.